Ladies and gents, welcome. That faded out way quicker than I thought it would do. Welcome to an experimental episode of VRB. We are without our trusty producer Coleman this week, so I have control of the buttons. Welcome, Tim.
Hello. And just to explain, we are going to try and do without Coleman in generally, not because we've had a disagreement or anything, but just because much easier. We're going to be doing this podcast more regularly. We want to make it a bit more sustainable and self-sustaining, which means that I have no more work to do, but Kev has more work to do. So he's going to be relearning the way around editing software to edit this podcast. So we're going to try and keep it swear-free, conversation rolling, and due to a little snafu, we're not going to have as much video content like coming up with trailers and stuff this week. Again, we're going to try and keep it simple, try and keep things light for Kev. We will return to the video format that you've hopefully become used to in the last couple of episodes. We'll return to that in future weeks, but we're going to make it a bit easier on Kev this week and avoid that for now, basically.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, we have a video version of this podcast, but it will just be our heads nodding backwards and forwards.
Be our big, ugly faces.
Nonsense. Yeah, big 40-plus-year-old faces just talking absolute nonsense about boxes being strapped to heads. So that's what's going on at the moment. Obviously, it's been a long time since I've done any of the the episode editing stuff. The Barrelcast was a long time ago at this stage. That's going to be fun, and I'm having fun with all these buttons. I can do this.
Extreme close up.
Love it. We'll get there. I haven't got control of Common's soundboard yet.
So for audio listeners, no difference. For our YouTube audience, this is going to be a slightly less useful episode unless you happen to like our faces, in which case I'm sorry, but as I said, we'll return to the much needed format in the future. I also realized that something we've neglected at the top of previous shows is just mentioning the fact that Kev is our resident Quest owner and owns a Quest 3, and I am our resident PSVR2 owner, and so I own a PSVR2. We also both own the previous incarnations of said headsets. We don't presently have a PC VR owner on the podcast. Maybe that'll change in the future, but
I can plug mine into a PC and it works fine.
That is true. And I did own a DK2 until I gave it away to a school. But anyway.
And I still have my I've shown this off before, but my enormous box with the original, the original Oculus logo on it.
Oh, nice.
And 3 base stations to do room tracking in 360 degrees because I was mad. So I do have a full PC only headset from back in the day, which I will never use again and no one will buy. So it just sits in my room. Anyway, yes, that's a good point. It's probably always worth mentioning, saying what headsets we use. It's obviously different strokes for different folks, and people would like to know what we are using. So we're going to get cracking with what we've been playing this week, because last time we had an episode, we left it until the end, and we're just like, let's quickly talk this through because we've run out of time. Exactly. What we have been playing. So let's start off. I want to start off with a demo that I tried. This is based off last episode. We were talking about the Steam Next Fest, and I hadn't actually tried any of the VR demos that were made available on it. So I downloaded a few. Next Fest had ended by the time I got around to this, but some of the demos were still available. One of which is Blackforge VR,
which we kind of poo-pooed last week a bit. But
you and I did. I think Coleman was quite excited about it, and then you and I just kind of went, "Do we really need another job simulator?" And here's what happened, Tim: is I went and I decided to play that just to see if it was worth ridiculing a second time, and I played it for 3 hours, and then suddenly went, "Hold on a minute, what happened there?" So it turns out, yes, we do need another job simulator in this wide market. It's really good fun. I like Blackforge a lot. It is janky as all heck. I'll tell you that much up front. It is not the physics in it are iffy, to say the least. Like, there's a lathe the way you can you chop your wood, and good lord, it is very much the game takes a very kind of educated guess at how much where your axe is hitting that wood, and then just does an instant and then the whole trunk falls down, and then you take that trunk of wood around to the log, I guess, around to the lathe, and it like a magical lathe, and it will start spinning around, and it gives you a chisel, and then you can put the chisel against the lathe, just like a real lathe, and it will start in a circular motion, shedding wood away from this thing, so you can shape it into whatever you like, and you'll get orders that come in for axe handles or spears and things like that. So you can lay that this whole thing. And
did you make a big wooden dildo?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
To be honest,
I thought that'd be the first place you went. Dildo or penis, and I'm trying to keep it.
I think you probably could, though. I think you probably could. But it's very hit and miss as to how accurate the chiseling and the sort of shaping of the wood is. So I never got it to look great, but I kind of like it because it comes off as this little dumb thing that it's just fun for fun's sake. You also get the ability. The demo doesn't have too much in there, but you get the ability eventually to smelt metal, so you can put some sort of minerals into a furnace and then pour that out, and then it'll give you a nice big chunk of metal that you can cool. Yep. And then you hammer it into shape. And then the idea is that you can then make bigger and bigger things by fusing each of these things together. So you'd get an axe handle, and you've made an axe head with the metal. And then you put it on this anvil, and then you hold Thor's hammer up to the sky, and it strikes it with lightning. Don't ask me why there's lightning hammers in it. I don't know the answer, but it's fun. So you hold your axe up, and it imbues it with lightning, and you smash this thing, and it links the two things together, and then you can, smash it again with a button pressed to unlink them if you want. So
you said
kind of
axe
repeat
when I think you meant hammer.
Hammer, yes, you're right.
Yep.
I did mean hammer. 100%. Yes, I got axes on the brain because I made 3 axes. It was good fun. Yeah, so it's decent. There's just this fellow that comes around with his mobile cart, and he's just like, "Oh, I got a new order for you if you want it, mate." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's lovely. I'll take another order, mate."
Was he West Country, or did you just inject that yourself? Right, okay.
No, he's like the standard kind of American rendition of a British person in a fantasy land.
It's so much better with your West Country accent. I just think they should patch that in. That's all I'm saying.
I think it should be an option, to be honest with you. All right, my boy. Let's go. Come on round here. I need axe done. Be great. Yeah, so he popped around every now and again and gave me an order, and I'd fulfill it and then pass it back. And then you don't get paid or anything. It just comes back saying that the customer was really happy. I'm not 100% certain what the incentive. Yeah, I'm not sure what the incentives are. As you progress through the missions, missions like the orders, you get access to more and more materials to make harder and harder stuff. Maybe that's the progression. I don't know. There's certainly no way to earn money and buy extra things. But if you're unlocking the upgrades naturally, then that's fine.
You did say that this is a bit janky, but I think that's forgivable in early access form. Do you think there might be also more story elements sort of bolted on as the game progresses as well? Because we were talking last week about it having a kind of, it would be nice if it had a sort of vicarious kind of story going on where there's heroes going off and doing quests with the weapons you give them and stuff like that. But
yeah, I never got the impression that was going to be a major part of the game. However, the lad who comes round with the, "Oh, you're right, my handsome," like that fella, he does tell you one of the missions is that this fella needs a massive hammer that's 6 feet long so that he can whoop slimes in a mine.
Right.
And you give him the hammer, and he comes back later and he says, "Yeah, that fella did. He mined all those slimes." I'm trying to rhyme it for no good reason. He hammered all of these slimes in a mine.
Right.
And it was great. And now all the slimes have come back, so he needs an even bigger hammer to hammer the slimes again. So you're kind of getting a almost story. There's a potential for stories to be told through that guy's
So they might flesh out as you're getting deeper into the game, basically.
Maybe. I'm not holding my breath for an
No.
actual story here.
Right.
But there might be some fun little tidbits that he comes back and says, you know?
Yeah.
Like any reasons why someone might need a double-ended spear. I don't know. Why would you need a double-ended spear? Oh, this fella said he wanted one. I wouldn't go
Glad
ask
you
him
said
questions,
spear.
was I? Yeah. Yeah, so it's good fun. I regret being as initially harsh with it as I was. I think it is a very janky game.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure that's going to improve throughout any early access it's in. Well, this is a demo, obviously, not really early access. But yeah, I'm not confident it's going to be like a precision physics simulator. But that's fine because it's just a good laugh building silly-looking weapons and saying, like, I made you an axe or a sword or, you know, fill in your weapons here. And I'm sure it gets more and more inside. Like, there's so many... The thing I like about most of it, the thing I like about it the most, rather, is when you start off in this workshop, there's a bunch of empty drawers. Like, you know, in a really nice workshop, you'll have, like, hooks on a wall where you hang all your tools, and you've got little drawers, like tiny little sorting drawers for every little thing. Like, oh, my 3mm screws go in this one, and my 5mm screws go in this. And you've got all of those drawers are available in this workshop, and you can pull them out, but there's nothing in them yet.
Oh, okay.
So my hope is that this game allows you to kind of fill all of that stuff in bit by bit to the point that by the time you get to the end of the game, you know exactly where every tiny little material is. And it's like you have built your own workshop. I don't know. I think this
every man's garden shed fantasy fulfilled,
100%. So, yeah. And it's just really chill. And that's, you know, I also bought and started playing Power Wash Simulator this week. And I just love a really chill game, Tim. I just love them.
While we're on the subject, I think last week we were taking the mickey out of, and I can't remember the exact name of the game, but I think it was just Bartender VR or something like that we were taking the mickey out of and saying that Dobbs in it. I saw Jammy Hero covering that game this week, and he didn't have massively glowing things to say about it, but it certainly seemed better than I was expecting. And it's kind of got more of a realistic thing to it, and you can actually learn how to make drinks through playing the game because it's got the exact amounts and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, that's got a bit more to it as well. That's a bit more interesting.
I was saying this to Dan a little while back while we were playing Helldivers, but I think I've just reached that point in my life where I just love a game that everyone else thinks is boring. Like it started for me with Euro Truck Simulator 2, which I got really into, where the whole game is collect a thing on your lorry, drive up the M5, and then park somewhere to drop it off.
But
and now,
yeah, I was just going to say, I think VR particularly adds another level to that because I've never really been into survival games, but I really liked Green Hell VR because I think being in VR made a great difference to the game. I don't think I'd like the flat screen equivalent of it, but playing in VR, there's something immediate about it and the kind of like visceral's the wrong word, but there's something kind of like you are in that environment, you are trying to find a way to survive. It seems like you're learning and crafting and doing things that it's almost like learning survival techniques that might actually keep you alive one day. And it probably doesn't go that far, you know what I mean? Like and there was that Survivor Man one that seemed to do a similar thing as well recently. But yeah, there's something to be said for job simulator type things in VR that and survival games and other things that I wouldn't normally have an interest in. That VR just gives it that extra edge and extra flavor sort of thing.
I completely agree. If they released Hard Space Shipbreaker, which I love, in VR, I'd be there day one.
Oh, now I don't know if you've heard the other game that literally that Jammy Hero spoke about in the same video as that Bartender one was Space Docker VR. Now I don't know if you've heard of that, but I think
Docker.
Space Docker VR. I think that might be your jam. Like it's a very kind of very like you have to pick up cargo and drop it off, but physics are all very realistic and everything seems on. It's on my wish list. I would have picked up already if I wasn't already kind of a bit busy with the games that I have and already picked up a few things in the last couple of weeks that I haven't made time for yet. But it's on my list, and I think you'd like that as well.
So I will say there's a game that was in Next Fest called Star Trucker. This isn't VR. but Star Trucker really caught my attention, and I quite enjoyed what I played. It is literally Euro Truck Simulator 2, where you are driving an actual like truck, but it's got space engines on it.
Nice.
Instead of wheels, and you're in space, and you're still just picking up cargo, driving it down the space motorway, and parking it somewhere and dropping it off. And along the way, like there's full physics simulations of gravity. And if you damage your vehicle, you've got to go out into space, which has its own list. You have to make sure you go in, like put your suit on in the right order, and go out the airlock, and make sure the airlock's sealed before you open the thing to go up. Otherwise, you have a bad day. And then go out and fix the outside. I was loving it. I just think there's space in my life for these games, Tim.
Mm-hmm. But I've heard more than one person say good things about Space Docker VR. Just it's got quite a steep learning curve. Like you have to really learn how to control the vehicle well, kind of thing, and how to pick things up and rotate things. Yeah, that's exactly why I think you'll like it.
I love that.
I'm not 100% sure it's on Quest, but it is on PlayStation VR. I imagine it's probably already out or came out on Quest, but don't know for sure.
Anyway, that was the Blackforge VR demo. So I'm almost certainly going to pick that game up when it comes out.
Cool.
Although at the moment, the best I can get as a release date from Steam is Q2. So we will see when that happens. But yeah, right. You've been playing ForeVR Bowl.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Well, yes, it is.
ForeVR Bowl?
So I have on a previous episode discussed my my absolute love, which I keep it on my headset at all times, for ForeVR Pool.
Right. Okay. I haven't tried that yet.
All the time. They also have ForeVR Darts.
Yes.
And a couple of other things as well. I've not tried those, but Pool is brilliant. And as I say, it's on my headset at all times.
Pool has come out on PSVR. I haven't seen anyone review it on PSVR 2, so I haven't picked it up yet. It's on my wish list, and I might pick it up at some point when it becomes cheap. Yeah, as it kind of joked, it does kind of spell forever, but it is ForeVR, which kind of sounds like you had a mild stroke halfway through saying the word forever.
Forever.
But yeah, the reason why I picked this up, and this has been on my list for a while as well. Again, I hadn't heard anyone review it previously. But when it came out on release, it was $17.99 at the moment, and I think by the time this podcast comes out, depending on how long it takes Kev to edit, the sale would have ended, unfortunately. But it was on sale for £10.79 generally. But if you had PlayStation Plus, it was on sale for £1.79, which is pretty much one of the lowest prices I've seen for a VR game.
I mean, that's an instant buy, even if you're not 100% sure you need it. Right?
Yeah, like literally, I've only played an hour or so of the game, so I can't go too in depth on it. But for £1.79, I was like, right, I have to pick that up. It has to be done. It's why I knew, like, I was recording this episode, we would be a bit close to the end of the sale, so I mentioned it on BRB UK a week or so ago, because I was like, yeah, like I just try and get the message out there that people should be picking this up while it's on sale. It is not the most perfect game from what I've seen of it so far. I'd probably say it's a strong 3 out of 5. But it does its one trick fairly well. I kind of think it does the bells and whistles better than it does the basic game, though. Like my first attempt at the game, I think I literally missed 3 pins in the whole of my first frame, like my first 10 frame game, basically. It is not very difficult. But I think that's and that was me like not using some of the cheats that you can use. Each ball you have has different powers, and as you unlock balls, you can have 5 different balls available to you that come down the down the gutter into the thing. I can't remember. I don't know what the thing that serves you balls up in our bowling alley is, but the little thing where it has the balls. You got the 5 different balls, and they will have different powers. So one of them that you start with is a ball that avoids gutters, and I never used that ball. I didn't see the need. When I picked up the other balls and used them, I was getting strikes straight away and spares straight away. So I was like, well, I don't have a need for a gutter ball. I haven't gone in the gutter yet. I think I did once in the second game that I played, basically. But then they'll have other ones that you can unlock that have more powers, that will have like a power shot on them and different things. They're also like each ball has a different design, and there's some really cool designs in there as well. Like some really like outlandish ones that you've seen in different places. I noticed they've got a couple that are a nod to what's the bowling comedy film with Woody Harrelson and other people in. I've forgotten the name. I was thinking of it the other day. Someone in the comments will be able to tell us.
I can only think of Kingpin.
Yes, no, that's exactly it.
Like
Kingpin.
Okay, Kingpin.
And I believe is it Bill Murray that's in that as well, that's got the rose in the see-through ball. I think it's Bill Murray. It might be someone else. But
also, it's been so many years since I watched that.
Yeah, it's been a few years since I watched it as well. But there's a few like references that you'll see from films and other things where if you can think of a famous bowling ball, they've got a version of it in this game. But then there's also just crazy ones like a galaxy in the ball or the Milky Way or, various different things. And then some really cool one like fish floating, actually swimming around in the ball and stuff like that you wouldn't be able to do in real life, but looks really cool in the game. And yeah, those bells and whistles, I think, are nice little extras that they add onto the game, and you've got a whole massive variety of them that you can unlock and stuff like that. There's also a variety of backgrounds. You can be in space, you can have a standard kind of bowling alley background and various other things like that. The thing that I think, from what I've seen so far at least, like, as I said, it doesn't seem like the hardest game, but also it doesn't seem like the physics are exactly right. I'm not sure why, but like Wii Bowling felt like it had a better one-to-one kind of physics feel in terms of when you spin it, it spins. When you throw it, that might be slightly offset by the fact I'm using like a power ball that doesn't have much spin and stuff like that. So maybe if I get a bit deeper into the game, that might sort of kind of work itself out and be not as problematic as I've seen from my early sort of thoughts on the game. But generally, like, £1.79, definitely pick it up if you still hear this in time. If it goes back up to $17.99, I would wait for it to go back on sale. But anything tenner or under, it's an easy pick up and play because you'll probably get a good few hours of play out of it. And it's fun, and it's, a good little distraction. And as I said, it's got some nice bells and whistles, and they've gone all out on that side of things to add some like nice flavor to it. I'm a bit nonplussed on the whole kind of the physics behind the actual bowling, which is, I would say, a major portion of it. But I'll check it out a bit more, and I'll see if I'm correct in my assumptions of what I've seen so far from what I've played. But yeah, for £1.79, I am more than happy with my purchase. And also the fact that you say the pool is good, from the polish and the bells and whistles that they've put on top of this, I'm happy to go and check that out and purchase that sometime. Again, I might wait for it to go on sale for slightly below the price that it is, but I am more happy to pick that up now that you've recommended that and gone with that as well. So I'll keep an eye out for that in the future as well.
Yeah, it's really good. It's very weird getting used to the fact that when you get down to cue your shot, you've got your hand in front of you to lean the cue on, and you would naturally try and put your other hand behind you to try to do a full cue action. You don't do that. You've got like your left hand is where it's supposed to be, but your right hand would then come up and almost be like a dart in front of your face.
Right, okay.
So it's a very small cue, but you've still got perfect, like you can see where it's hitting the cue ball, judge how much spin you want, give it the power that you want based on it's a bit of a weird, thing to get your mind into the space where you want to not do the full cue action. Also, but other than that, it's brilliant.
When I was playing ForeVR VR and showing that off to a friend of mine, playing that on PSVR 1 because it hasn't come to 2 yet. But I was playing that, and that's got various different mini games, and pool's one of them. And we were playing the pool, and I was just letting him get on with the shots. And at that time, I had the headset was on a stand that I used to keep on a little table that I put in front of the TV.
Yeah.
And my mate just out of nowhere just completely stacked it. Like went down, head butted the table on the way through. It was like, "Oh my god, is your headset okay?" I'm like, "Oh my god, are you okay? Oh my god, what happened?" And he was just like, "Oh, I went to go lean on the table and it wasn't there, so I just fell straight through." And I did tell him he was in good company because Ronnie O'Sullivan did the exact same thing when he was trying the snooker game. But yeah.
Everyone has that happen with VR for the first time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you about when my kids saw me using a VR headset once, and my kids are like 3 years old. And one of them was just like, I want to see. I loaded up one of the little sort of like snow backgrounds, so you're in a little winter village. It's not a game, it's just like one of the default environments you load into. And I put one of my girls on the headset on her, and I got like the elite strap, so you can like pull it all the way down, so it actually fit her head pretty well. And for those wondering, oh, you're doing the wrong thing for your kids, like it was there for like 30 seconds. But she loved it. She could see all the snow. She was pointing out there's a snowman over there and a train over there, and then she tried picking up the snow and just ate the deck. Just fell completely forward. Oh yeah, okay. Now I remember. VR is very confusing for people who don't realise that they're not actually in another world suddenly.
Although I completely forgot to mention this when we were talking about Vertigo 2, I had a minute where I completely stacked it because I was trying to duck out the way of someone shooting at me. And then like I moved too far one side and my legs just gave way. And then I ended up on the floor. And then I was on the floor in real life and not in the game. And I had that weird disconnect second of what just happened there? What's going on? What? Oh no, I actually fell over in real life. Oh right, okay. That's why it physically hurt. Okay.
Oh, in the spirit of we were talking last week about cardinal sins of VR games, one of which is when the screen goes completely black. When I move a limb or move myself and the camera and the avatar in the game does not reflect that perfectly,
yes,
that is a cardinal sin.
I don't understand how games can. I guess it's because you've got hand controllers, but how games map your hands and then your arms go really weird. It's like, surely you know how an arm works in real life. You shouldn't.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's definitely some. I mean, even Meta's not managed to get that perfect right. They've done a pretty good job, but they still haven't got it perfect. So it's tricky. You could have your arm in any weird direction. You could be doing this, and the game wouldn't know. So.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's tricky. Anyway, I have one more game to talk about, which is a game which we were provided a review code for, which is a game called Undercover.
I'm keen to hear about this.
I have at present played through about half of this game, and I am here to report that. So Tim, you and I have been in the kind of video game discussions arena for a while,
right?
And I don't know about you, but I have written an awful lot of video game reviews in my time, in either video format or written format, whatever. We've been doing this since like 2007 or 2008, whatever it was. So it's been a while. On and off, obviously. And for me, my favourite reviews, the ones that I really can sink my teeth into and have a good time with, are the ones where I thought the game was fantastic or the game was absolutely god-awful. And my least favourite reviews are the ones where I'm just like, yeah it's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, because you can't really get into the problems, so you don't have a long list of things to talk about there, and you can't really sing its praises and start recommending it to everyone, sort of thing.
Which is exactly where I find myself with Undercover. This is I've not come across a single bug. It executes exactly what it's aiming to do. If you are looking for a light gun game that copies the exact formula of a game made in 1995 or 1996 in the arcade, this is perfect. It's
namely
brilliant
Time
in every way.
Crisis,
Namely Time Crisis. The graphics are interesting. Obviously, it's not like photorealistic or anything. It is a kind of hyperpixelated. That's a bad word, but pixel graphics.
Yeah.
But with some style, like it's not quite pixel graphics. It's difficult to describe really what the graphics is, but it looks good. That's its kind of most interesting feature. And I say, and what it sounds awful because it makes it sound like the game is not interesting, but I have to admit, it didn't really pull me in an interesting way. It's just, I'm playing a 26, it feels like I'm playing a 26-year-old game in VR. And that's fine.
Without the nostalgia, basically.
Yeah, and I've never really been massive on light gun games anyway. It's probably more fun with another person. I didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
But let me go through what the game plays like. As I say, there's nothing wrong with this game unless you consider it being of its, like, you know, what it's aiming for as being something wrong with it. I don't think that's a problem. I would give this a solid smack in the middle 3 out of 5 on the barrel scale. It's good at what it does, and I don't think it's very interesting. What they're aiming for is something that doesn't interest me. Obviously, that's not going to speak to everyone.
Yeah.
If you are the kind of person that loves a light gun game and you love those in VR, especially,
love a light gun game, Kev. That's why I'm
I
torn.
know, and that's why I'm going to say to you, this is probably a 4 or 5 for you because this is right up your alley. It's not necessarily up mine. But that being said, let me walk through what the game is playing like. So there is a story.
Yep.
I'm not 100% certain I'm a fan of it, but there is a story. There's some general back and forth between the two characters that's pretty fun, bordering on funny, but not quite in a Borderlands 3 I'm trying too hard kind of way. The gameplay is, as I say, general light gun game. You have a button on your controller that you can press, a face button that will pull you down undercover, as the game suggests. At that point, you cannot be hit.
Right? Can I say, from what you've said so far and what you were saying just then, this is a better name for Time Crisis than Time Crisis was, because Time Crisis never had a crisis in time, as far as I can remember. I
recall it was though, wasn't it? It was like you went through different time periods and you were jumping through time portals. Yeah,
I don't remember them being a time factor in Time Crisis. I remember it being all police and military. I
must admit my memory is somewhat faded on what Time Crisis was. But yeah, my memory of it is that, and I could be wrong, is that you were kind of jumping through different time periods and people were trying to attack different time periods, and your job was to stop them from ruining the timeline.
I don't remember there being any time. I could be completely misremembering that, but I don't remember there being any time traveling in Time Crisis. I'm going to Google that while you carry on.
Sure thing. So yes, this one, you press the button, you go undercover, you cannot be hit at that point, and it reloads your pistol. You always have a pistol, a single pistol, leaving your poor left hand, which is rendered on the screen, with absolutely nothing to do. Which is one of the things that actually aggravated me quite a lot, because I was like, well, why can't I just pick up a second gun? And here's the thing, occasionally you can. So much like in Time Crisis, you will occasionally in the levels see things floating off in the distance. You might need to look a little bit harder than you ordinarily would do. So you might need to turn around, for example. So a direction you just came from might now have a health pack behind you. If you shoot the health pack, you get 2 health pops back or pips back. I think you have 5 in general. And then every time you get hit, you lose 1, and a health pack will give you 2 back. The idea is to get through, you've got, I think, 4 or 5 missions, what they call missions, and then each mission has like 4 chapters. And each one has a boss involved in it. My memory is that it's not always the last chapter in a mission that gives you the boss, but there is a boss.
I think I heard that somewhere else from someone talking about it in passing as well, yeah. Like some of its mid-mission bosses, which I kind of like, actually. Like,
it's fine, yeah. I mean, it comes out, you don't expect it necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be ducking down, and then your weapon reloads. You can shoot guns off in the distance, and that will give you that weapon for the amount of time that the magazine lasts. You got things like machine guns. There's some pretty fun ones. There's like a rocket launcher, a ball that fires like balls. A gun that fires balls.
Ball that fires balls.
A ball that fires balls, yeah, that'd be pretty fun. A gun that fires balls, that does quite a bit of damage, to be fair. There's red barrels everywhere, which of course you will love.
Oh,
and
game of the year.
When you manage to injure a person, or I think possibly kill a person using an explosion, time slows down, and there's your Time Crisis pedal.
So there's more time.
Right?
in Undercover than there was in Time Crisis, apparently.
Well, let's not forget that Time Crisis did have the foot pedal that would let you slow down time temporarily when it was charged. So you had that.
Yeah. Well, that was mainly for ducking up and
was
down,
that just,
wasn't it?
Or was that just in Time Crisis 2? I can't remember. Maybe you're right about the ducking up and down. Oh man, I'm really struggling to remember what the hell happened in Time Crisis now. Anyway, back to
I'm
Undercover.
pretty sure from what I've read so far, there was no time travel element to Time Crisis.
I must be making that up then. Or I'm thinking of a different Time Crisis sequel. Anyway, where was I? Yes, so you fire into the distance, grab to get your weapons and your health. There's some cool weapons in there. A couple of them have dual wielding weapons, but it's not like you can fire at one weapon and fire at another and suddenly you're dual wielding each one. It's you fire at a dual wield weapon and that will give you double guns.
Okay. Everyone likes a double gun.
Yeah. So you're not moving yourself very much like the light games of old. You are finishing an encounter. You get a score for that encounter from, I think, D up to S, which is, video game standards. And then the game will give you a bit of exposition, some story, and then sort of highlight the route your characters are going to take. It'll give you a big old vignette in your headset, and then you will see in your character, you will walk through that route until you get to the next stage or encounter where you will fight that encounter. The levels are about sort of 20 minutes a piece, so there's a decent amount of content in it, to be honest.
Presumably
the
there's
enemies,
high scores and stuff as well, so you can
there's high scores, so you can go back and try and beat your friends and whatnot, so they've got all that in there. As I say, it is a very, very well realized light gun arcade game. Very well realized. Just not my cup of tea. However, for those who do enjoy that brand of game, I think you're going to have a lot of fun here. The only thing I will say is that it doesn't take a 26-year-old formula and bring it in, like give it more depth to bring it into this century. So I would probably have given it an extra mark or possibly even 2 if there were just something to lift it up above, like, the light gun games of old. But it really is just a carbon copy of the light gun games of old. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Just I personally wish there was more to it.
But see, light gun games kind of faded away a bit because of TV technology. I think when we moved from CRTs, they became much more difficult to do. And I think that's something that's VR has brought back into an equation of something we can do. I still don't know why we don't have versions of Time Crisis, which incidentally, did a bit of reading, doesn't sound like any of the Time Crisis through Time Crisis 1 to Time Crisis 5 have anything to do with time travel.
I don't know what I was
SWAT
saying then.
And military and lots of other things.
Maybe I'm thinking of Time Splitters or something.
maybe you definitely got the wrong time thing. But yeah, and I don't know why we don't have things like House of the Dead and stuff like that. They love porting that to things. Why haven't they put like House of the Dead? What was that over something? The one with all the swearing in where you could shoot the swear words. Anyway, like Overkill, I think it was. There's a load and Point Blank and loads of other light gun games I'd really like to see be converted into VR. So when this was coming and was coming to MetaQuest rather than PSVR 2, I was a bit jealous. There was a Operation Warcade which came out on PSVR 2 last year, and that was an okay light gun game. It was on rails, and I assume Undercover's on rails as well, from what I've seen and what
yes, very much so.
Yeah. So, and I kind of like that formula, but it sounds like this week we've both had 3 out of 5 games that have got some things good about them and some things that makes it slightly harder to recommend. But it sounds like we might enjoy the game that the other person's played, basically.
Yeah. But to be clear, the only thing I don't recommend about this one is the fact that it is a very old formula that's just been brought in without any real change. And sometimes that works.
Yeah.
Like Star Wars Dark Forces has just had a remaster that's going down really well with people because it's a perfect representation of a game that came out 25 plus years ago. I'm really looking forward to playing it. But for nostalgia's sake, I think the problem here with me is I don't have the nostalgia for this.
Right, yeah.
I played light gun games in the arcade. It was never the reason I went to the arcade.
See, I don't know, some of my favourites. Operation Wolf which Operation Warcade was going for, Time Crisis, which Undercover was kind of aping. That's some of my favorites from the arcades back in the day as well. But yeah,
I think this is one of those reviews where it's a kind of case study of when you provide an outlet with a review code and it gets like one review per outlet. Unfortunately, you're stuck with the opinion of whoever did the review, right? You'd probably give this a slightly higher score, but I don't know that until you played it, obviously. But you never know.
It sounds like I'd be interested in picking it up on if it does come to PSVR 2. Price wise, do you think the $18.99 is a bit high for what they're asking for? Would it be an easier recommendation at a lower price, or?
Well, anything would always be an easier recommendation at a lower price.
Well, yeah, I guess.
However, I do not think £19 is unrealistic for this one. As I say, there is a lot of content in here. If you like, now here's the thing: I haven't played the whole game.
Yeah.
So it could completely change tack as we go forward. I don't suspect that's going to happen based on what I've seen.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of game there. It's all basically the same thing with a developing story and, as I say, some bants between the two main characters. And I will say that there's some pretty comedic interactions with the kind of enemies that you're dealing with. Over the radio. I got some good giggles off of that. So it's I think the 19 quid is perfectly valid. Obviously, if you want to hang around for a deal, then you're going to get more value for your money, of course. Yeah, but I like it, but not in a like I'm going to go and play this every night kind of way. It's as I say, it's really good at what it does. What it does is not necessarily fully my bag.
Okay. From the sounds of it, we are also, because we talked about some other light gun games, but Zombieland Headshot Fever, which is apparently on Quest, but the better version is on PSVR 2 because it's got a slightly different art style. But that is a good light gun game that I think that is kind of, you're in stationary points and being automatically walked around on rails a bit, but it does a little bit more to it, and there's some upgrades and stuff like that. Doesn't sound like there was any upgrades in Undercover from what you were saying. No, you're not like upgrading weapons and doing stuff like that.
No,
Sounds
no,
like
there's none
could
of
have
that.
added at least a bit of that, but
every bit of gameplay change up that you get is basically one of those things that you shoot in a level. So either a health pack or a weapon that's in a crate. There is absolutely nothing more going on than that, and obviously the red barrels and occasional like other explosives that are scattered around. There's a guy that will fire rockets at you, and you can shoot the rockets out of the air. And I haven't figured out if that's what explodes or his backpack explodes, but either way, there's a big explosion that occurs, which is always nice to see.
Always fun.
So yeah, that's Undercover.
Okay, cool. Before we move on, and we've got to move on very quickly, but I'll just mention the fact that I finally got around to playing the Hubris demo this week as well. That game's really good. I ended up about halfway through the demo. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to buy this while it's still on sale. That was 15 quid, so I'd kind of held off from the £25 that it was launched at. Again, it might not be on sale by the time you hear this podcast, but yeah, from what I've seen of that game, that's a really good looking game, and I quite like that. So £15 seemed like a reasonable deal from what I saw from the demo. I'll report back when I've played more of that, possibly.
Yeah, look forward to hearing about that. So we got some news.
Yeah, we do. News!
The big news this week, of course, is that Sony have celebrated 1 year of PSVR 2.
Happy birthday to you.
Let's not get sued.
No.
Yeah, so a year of PSVR 2, an accessory that I think we can all agree, even those of us that have bought into it, could have had more done with it.
Yes.
Certainly could have used more push, and certainly could use some more support.
But you say that.
But a great bit of kit.
It is a great bit of kit, but even beyond that, like, I think part of the problem is that they put such a strong foot forward that it's kind of made a gap behind it a little bit. Like, some of the best games on the headset are the games that it launched with, basically. Still GTA 7, Resident Evil 8. Like, they are two of the standout games on the headset, basically. But there's a lot of games still there, and if you are like, I think even if you're quite a discerning gamer and you only want to go for the high points, there's still more than enough to keep you busy on PSVR 2. Like, I'm in the fortunate position where we do get review codes, so I've got a slightly bigger library than I have, but that's come at the expense of not playing as much of the games as I would like to play. I could play Gran Turismo every day, basically. Like, it's that good. And there's so many other games that I want to put more time into. Like, I haven't gone back and played through Seventh Guest, even though I really like that. And it's not like the library is lacking in titles. It's just lacking in big first party titles that will bring more boys to the yard, or will attract attention and turn heads and bring people that haven't already been signed up and on board to VR. And I think that is where Sony is lacking, and where it feels like they don't care as much. I was glad to see them at least putting out a blog post where they were celebrating the year and sort of putting a bit of news out there that was positive good news.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so speaking of said blog post, they announced some new games that are coming.
Yep.
As well as another thing that we'll go on to in a moment. So the new games are, and I use new in quotes here, The Wizards Dark Times Brotherhood.
Yep.
Which is out. They released that the day this blog post went up, I think.
Yes. So that came out on the anniversary day. It's a kind of remixing and rejig of The Wizards, which I think I'm correct in saying hadn't previously come to PSVR 2. It's a kind of gesture-based Magic game, and it looks quite good fun. I just heard slightly mixed things when it came out, and I'm toying between buying that and a game that we'll talk about possibly later in the show if we've got time. And I'm not sure which one I want to buy more at the moment. So we'll leave that discussion for a minute, maybe.
So I really enjoyed The Wizards back in the day, the original. The Wizards Dark Times came out on PC in June of 2020, so height of the pandemic.
Right.
I did not. I was playing a lot of VR at that time. I did not buy this for reasons that I must have just forgotten to, because otherwise, as I say, I really liked the first one. There's no reason why I shouldn't have done this. I finally got around to buying this about 2 months ago when it was on sale on Steam. And I played 20 minutes of it.
Yep.
Had the worst VR experience of any game I've ever had in the last several years.
Okay.
Just nothing that could have gone right went right. I had stuttering. I had things falling through the level.
Wow.
I had like just as many bugs as you can throw a stick at. The climbing wall, good lord, Tim. I was trying to hang on to this freaking wall, and I was like, my hand was going through the wall, and then I had hands on a grip, and I would let go of one hand while I had the other hand fully gripped, and the grip would suddenly release even though I hadn't done anything, and I would fall to my death. It was awful. 20 minutes in, I submitted for a refund, and I just chalked it up as like,
that's rare for you.
I've been on the side here. I've been trying to on my second screen. I've been trying to find if I can like get the. When you ask for a refund on Steam, you have to supply a reason,
right? And you can trying to see what your reason was.
Free text to that. I was trying to find the text that I wrote because it was a scathing review of my experience. I can't find it, annoyingly. But yeah, that I had such a bad experience. But here's the thing. I am not convinced it was the game's fault. It may have just been that I had like a bad configuration. Maybe it wasn't playing nice. The Steam Link was very new when I got that. And I was trying it for among the first times. Maybe it didn't play well with the Steam Link. There are a number of things that might have been issues.
You're playing in the Steam Quest 3, presumably, by time.
I was, I was. Yeah. However, I will say this. The falling through the levels bits and the hands not properly... Well, maybe that had something to do with the latency of the connection. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were definitely some serious bugs in it. And I really do. I want to see what that game is, but I also don't want to risk spending money on it in case I get the same experience again. And it feels bad to refund it twice.
Yeah, that's a shame because the Brotherhood portion of that is apparently the fact that it's now got 3-player co-op, which I'm not sure was part of it before. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about this game, because if you had the game still, I'd be more tempted to pick it up, and that would give it more value as well, basically.
I think for science, you and I should probably do this.
Okay,
and then we can either have a great time together or we can utterly suffer together.
Well, it's whether we want to spend that or we want to spend another £20 on Legendary Tales was the subject I was going to come on to later. Because that's £45. That's a full RPG. It's apparently pretty good. Most people speak about it pretty highly, and I believe that has cross-play co-op.
Well, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of science to be found in doing that one. But we'll have that discussion at some point.
Yeah, we'll have that discussion at some point. We'll leave that for off mic, maybe. But yeah.
Anyway, it might be awful, it might be not. It might be awful, it might be not. But the Wizards Dark Times Brotherhood is out now on PSVR 2. I'm quite interested to go and see if there are any reviews for it and see what people are saying about it to, iron out whether I'm the one with the problem or whether everyone else.
Yeah, I'd heard most people say reasonable things. It doesn't always respond to the gesture controls, but when it does, it feels pretty good. But yeah. As I said, maybe we'll do that for science. Maybe we'll throw it open to our audience. Would you prefer us talking about the Wizard Dark Times, or would you prefer us talking about Legendary Tales? Let's see if we get any comments on that, and that might influence our decision as well. No promises that it will, but it might.
Knowing the people that hang out in our Discord, certainly any chance to inflict harm upon us and its misery is going to be the winner there.
They'll pick the wrong one. So I guess that's why we don't give any guarantees. Just might. Right.
Yeah.
I think we should tear through the rest of these fairly quickly, though, basically.
Agreed. Yeah, there's not much to talk about here. There's Little Cities: Bigger.
Yeah.
Coming in March 12th.
City Builder looks kind of cute, but yeah.
Yeah. Zombie Army VR. I've definitely seen that around before.
That was, as far as I know, exclusively announced on this, and I believe is just coming to PSVR. I don't know if that's a timed exclusive or a general exclusive, but this looked really impressive. It's Zombie VR, which we've seen before. Zombie Army, which we've seen before. But,
right, okay.
It's being made by, was it the people that did Zombie Headshot Fever, I think?
XR Games.
Yes, they're the people that made the game I talked about before, Zombieland Headshot Fever, which I really liked on PSVR 2. And so I'm really keen to see what they do with this license. Also, be really interested because I saw both them and Rebellion at the same Develop conference last year, and I'd be really interested to know if this game came out of them discussing it at Develop conference last year. I'd be really interested to know that was the case, because they had stands like just right near each other, so they probably ended up having some conversations at that show, and that may have led to this. That would be interesting.
I mean, that's a very, very fast acquisition of deal and turnaround on development. If that is
possibly,
the case, I'd be surprised.
Maybe if it was previous, but yeah, I mean, it depends how big a game it is or whatever. But yeah, I'd be interested to see if it came out of them speaking to each other at this event and them having a relationship through seeing each other at previous events or something. But anyway, be interested to see, and I'm extra keen because they've already made one good zombie blasting game, and I think this could be fun. It's a good kind of license for them to pick up. It could be good. And yeah, the trailer looked good as well, so I'm keen to see where that goes.
Agreed. Some legitimate competition for Arizona Sunshine 2 there, I think. Wanderer 2: The Seas of Fortune.
Yep. Now, particularly mentioning this one because this was actually teased at the end of the trailer they put out for their first game, which is being remade for PSVR 2. And again, I think this is an exclusive to PSVR 2. I don't know, it's timed exclusive. But the main news from that trailer was the fact that it's coming out on the 27th of June. This is probably one of my most anticipated games. It's between this and Arcanage, which I think are my two probably most anticipated games for PSVR 2 at the moment. There's a time traveling adventure. It came out on PSVR1, but it came out quite near the end of the life cycle, so I wasn't playing too much VR at the time, so I just didn't pick it up. But since I've heard that they're remaking it and properly remastering it from the ground up by the looks of things, and this trailer has added to my excitement because it looks awesome, like properly time traveling back and forth to pick up weapons in the past to go and shoot people in World War II setting and stuff like that. That looks fantastic. And at the very end of the trailer, they teased their second game and had the words Davis Co. Jamaica and 1750 in it, and had a pirate flag. So there's something pirate themed going on. I don't know from the first game, but it seemed to be like there might be like time traveling different elements and a World War II kind of, or maybe even World War I setting for combat. And I'm wondering if that's going to be like a central kind of point of the second game is going to be the pirate things, but then you'll be presumably having a time traveling element going outwards from there as well. So yeah, I just the fact that they're working on a second game is cool. But I'm really looking forward to the first game, and that's now coming out on the 27th of June, and I am really, really keen on that one. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay. And of course, Arizona Sunshine 2 got some free DLC, which you will be talking about now, shortly. When do you want to talk about
Let's do it now. Let's get it out of the way. It's a very simple thing. It's quite cool, though. They labeled it DLC Corgie is the bit that's out now. It is just a skin for Buddy, that is your dog in the game. That is just a skin and just makes him into a corgi, which, as far as I could see from the little bit I tried, just makes him slightly shorter, so it's slightly harder to get your guns out of either side of him in the straps. But otherwise, is quite cute and quite good. I'd left myself in a hard place in the game, and so only played it for a very short time. But yeah,
Tim.
Yeah?
You're going to laugh your head off.
What?
You have just explained to me that you can store guns on that dog.
Did you not know?
I played through that entire game, and that never clicked.
No?
That has literally just clicked.
It's got two little holsters either side of it where you can put two guns, and he can carry two extra guns for you.
Yeah.
It's quite handy.
Now that you've said it, and I'm remembering what he looked like, gears are ticking over in my head. I remember.
He's even more useful than you remember. So yeah,
this is my moment of an equivalent. I'm just about to. This is a really deep cut for those of us who have followed us for a long time. But back in the Sarcastic Gamer days and the Sarcastic Gamer podcast, before there were multiple Sarcastic Gamer podcasts, there was just a podcast, and they did a Mass Effect special. And someone mentioned, it might have been Lono or Dave, someone mentioned that you put points into skills to level up your characters in Mass Effect. And I remember Doc going like, hold on, what? No wonder I'm having such a hard time. And this here was my moment.
Yeah, okay.
This here was my moment of equivalence.
Yeah, so, newsflash, Buddy can carry two guns for you. Not the most necessary thing in the game, but reasonably handy
clearly
to have
not at all, in fact, because I never ran out of ammo.
You got through the whole thing without knowing it, so there you go.
Good
But
Lord.
yeah, they also announced 3 other Horde maps coming. I did have a little go on the Horde. I've also got some mates bugging me to actually go and play that multiplayer this evening, so I might even play some more of that tonight. But there's 3 more Horde maps on the way. There's only 1 Horde map in the game presently. But across March, April, and May, we've got, first of all, Trailer Park, and then Undead Valley and Old Mines. I'm not sure how much difference the different layouts will make, but it'll be interesting to see how much they mix that up, and whether there's different kind of attack patterns of zombies and the big zombies and stuff that come up against. But yeah, more content for that game just gives me a bit more reason to play it. I have been playing it multiplayer with a mate of mine, and I think I mentioned last week when we were talking about it, or a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it, that it does add an extra layer to that. You and me should play that sometime. Also, the Horde maps are quite good because you can play those up to 4-player cooperative as well, which, just adds another little bit to it. So adding a bit more variety to that will be good. The buddy skin, and it's literally just a skin. It's not like a different dog, but it does look like a different height and stuff like that. But yeah, it still makes it into a corgi. It's probably, a bad thing that the Queen didn't live to see that, because she would have obviously loved that. Not sure how much of a fan she is of VR, but but she loved a corgi.
Have you stuck a motorcycle helmet on top of said corgi yet?
Yes. Not necessarily a motorcycle helmet, but a variety of hats. Good little police dog hat, hard hat.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't done a variety ones on the corgi yet, but still.
Could be funny. Right, and then the big news for me coming out of this is that PlayStation have announced that they are currently testing the ability for PSVR2 players to access additional games on PC to offer even more games. Okay.
There's some things to unpack there, because they haven't really explained things.
They've not explained anything.
No.
I have a pessimistic view of this, an optimistic view of this, and a realistic view of this. Which would you like to hear first?
I'd like to go for the optimistic view first, Kev. Let's go with optimism first and foremost.
Optimistically, I am hoping that they give people the ability, as you remember the first episode we came back with VRB, I think episode 3, I want to say. Or 4.
Sounds about right, yeah.
After a long hiatus of 2 episodes. One of the first, that was our kind of, the PSVR2 is out, you've got one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what it is, what it isn't. And what it wasn't was able to get on PC and let you play your Steam games through a really, really nice headset. So, my optimistic hope is you will be able to access, at the very least, your Steam library.
Yeah.
Probably not your meta library, but let's say at very least your Steam library. That would be great. There are a ton of games, VR games, on Steam, and some absolute bangers in there. So, yes, that would be fantastic. That is my optimistic hope for what PSVR2 represents. This new PC integration, at least. My pessimistic view tells me that no, Sony are going to give you the ability to play PSVR2 games on a PC.
And then resell you those PSVR2 games via PC.
Yes. And you will
won't even
not
have your PSVR2 library. Yeah.
And you will not see your Steam library at all. I really hope that's not the case.
No.
My realistic prediction, and this is less about the libraries and more about I don't understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
The reason that the Quest can plug into a PC and just work TM is because it does a lot. It passes through, I want to say it streams a really low bitrate video feed through the cable, which is just a USB cable, USB-C. And then there's a lot of software in the headset that reamps that back up to a decent-looking picture.
Yeah.
Which means there's a lot of built-in tech in the headset, which of course it's available because that is a standalone headset. The PSVR does not have a system on a chip in the headset itself. It relies on the PlayStation. So you can't just plug it in via USB and have the PC fire video up a USB to it. There's not enough throughput to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm left with a couple of options here. Either they've got some mad cable they're going to sell you that has all of that system on a chip in place to do all of the work that the Quest does,
which is going to cost a bit of money. Yeah,
of course. Or what they are actually doing here is developing a streaming solution, so you can stream over Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I can't see unless they've planned that up in advance, and that would explain why. I mean, maybe the technology that's already in the headset explains why the headset is the price that it is, but that would kind of make sense of that. If it's got technology that we are unaware of, it would make further sense of the price point of the headset. Because there's a few people spoke about this week that the price of the headset is more than the console, and that needs to change going forward if we want to attract more people to PSVR 2. But then, like you said, there's a big Steam VR library. Are they just making... Because it sounds like they want to make more games available to the headset. And you don't do that by just making the PSVR2 library available on PC. That's not the way that's done. It sounds like they want to make the headset more usable for more people, that you could possibly buy the headset even if you didn't have a PS5 and make use of it, and have more games available for existing PSVR2 users. So that would seem to be that it was actually going more towards your optimistic view than either of the others.
I want to believe you're right. However,
Yes.
they make no money from just opening up a whole other storefront to be playing on the headset.
No, but they do attract more people to the thing. And if they can get more people buying the headset, perhaps they can get PC gamers that will buy the headset as their VR headset. The one thing I can't understand there is, are PC VR games and Steam games in general going to take advantage of the haptics and the FoveVR rendering and the eye tracking and the things that make the PSVR2 headset what it is? Because I can't see that. That's a bigger thing that I can't see. I don't know how much work is involved in developers taking advantage of those things. So I don't know, because it seems difficult for PSVR2 developers. So it's got to be even more difficult for people that aren't focused on that, no?
And PSVR2 developers know that stuff is there and ready to go. A PC developer does not know that you've got a PSVR2 that you intend to play with.
Yes.
And so can't do that as the baked-in default. So it have to be optional extras.
The one thing I say, though, perhaps they are trying to position themselves as, okay, Quest will be the standalone headset that you can plug into the PC, but maybe there is a market for us to corner in the PC market where we are the best other headset that isn't an individual
It's difficult.
Thing. I mean, like,
the only reason I say it's difficult,
HTC doesn't seem to be doing much at the moment. Like, there doesn't seem to be many other headset developers out there putting out.
Vive is still really good. The latest version of the Vive is still really good.
Yes, but is also much more expensive than PSVR2.
True.
So maybe that's where they see there's a bit of market to carve out somewhere between the two, where you don't want to spend the massive amount on Vive and maybe don't have room scale available to take advantage of that anyway, where they can come in and go, all right, well, you can play Gran Turismo 7 on your PC and you can buy our headset to do it, basically.
I honestly don't think that those headsets are the problem here. I think the problem is they're a year late to this, if they are going to open up the ability to play Steam games with PSVR2. Because in the past year, we've also gained the ability to just go out and buy a Quest 3. Which is cheaper,
that is true.
And you can plug it into PC, and it just works.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard fight to win in the VR market for someone to say, right, I can buy a Quest 3, which can play native games, has its own native storefront. I can plug it into the PC. I can do all that stuff. I have a bunch of other apps that are available for it that are just open and like have fun. You've got side loading. You can use side quest. I've never actually used it, but you can kind of break open the headset and like jailbreak it. That's all available to you with the Quest. PSVR2, you got a nicer screen, like nicer display. The FoveVR rendering exists. Whether it gets used or not, who knows?
That's the thing.
And then I'm just like, well, who would pay more money just for the 120 hertz screen? And the OLED, obviously, but I don't know. I really don't know.
They obviously must be thinking that there are enough people to do that, or they are just trying to increase the range of games available to PSVR2 owners. But I can't
not
fully
business.
understand that either.
that doesn't make good business sense. They wouldn't just give you something where they don't stand to make money off it. So I am really interested to see where this goes.
The ability for PSVR, this is a quote from them, testing the abilities for PSVR2 players to access additional games on PC to offer even more game variety, in addition to the PSVR2 titles available through PS5. That's what they said.
I think, given how lackluster the PSVR2 support has been by them, that this would be a really nice olive branch to give out to the PSVR2 community. You've already bought a headset. If you happen to have a PC, plug it in. You can play PC games through it now.
And that's
That
where
would
I'm
be
screwed, Kev, because
lovely.
even in your optimistic kind of view on things, you didn't mention Mac. And I've only got a Mac, and they are not going to give it Mac support because Apple will be like, no, we've got the AVP, the ASS, as I prefer to refer to it, Apple Spatial System. But yeah, we've got the ass on your face, and we don't like other people playing with us. So no, you can't play ball with us. So no. So Mac's
Yeah.
never going to get capability. So I'm screwed either way, Kev. So
I mean, you were the second you went out and bought a Mac without having a PC first, quite frankly. I got very little sympathy for you, mate. Although I say that as a person with an iPhone. So
yeah. So
and an Apple Watch.
well, I mean, stupider. I have a Mac computer and an Android phone. So
aren't we all just weird? At the end of the day, is that not the story of the human condition? We're all just a little bit odd in our choices, aren't we?
All bit strange. But also, I'd be interested, as you said, you mentioned about streaming. There's a lot of rumors that, because one of the problems is actually physically connecting it to a PC is going to be difficult, no, as far as I understand.
What ports have you got on that thing? The port is I want to say
on
it's
the Mac.
On your headset.
Oh, it's just USB.
Is it USB-C?
It's just USB on the t'other end. So I don't know how they're going to do anything with that. There's people have said it will have to go to a USB-C, so that would be easy with a fairly standard converter, I guess. But you can't rely on every computer having. I don't think you can rely, from what I know of PCs, you can't rely on every PC having a USB-C port that's
you don't even
going to
need
be the right type of port to have. No,
you don't need to. A USB 3 port. You can have a USB 3 to USB-C cable, and that is what plugs into my Quest 3, for example. So that's completely fine.
It'd just be,
but the problem is that because it's a USB 3, that is where the throughput is less than it would be USB-C to USB-C. And also, I don't even think that would be perfect.
Yeah, but I've also heard a few people say that not everyone has a USB-C port on their graphics card or whatever it is. Is that the right phraseology? I'm not sure, but
that's accurate. Well, on their motherboard, but yes, you're right. It's basically motherboards made in the last 2 years, I want to say, generally have a USB-C port. I think mine has one, but I'm not even convinced of that now that I'm saying it out loud.
But what you were saying before about it having some sort of processing in it as well, that might make sense, because I could see them coming up with the similar solution they came up with PSVR1, which is they actually gave out a dongle for PSVR1 to make it work on the PS5 because it wouldn't otherwise. And you could apply for that dongle for free if you owned it. But I don't think it'll be that nice. They'll probably sell a separate dongle to people that want it for.
I think you're probably looking at a 25, 30 quid cable adapter that will let you plug it into a PC.
Yeah.
Whether you get access to Steam games, up in the air. But there's no point in us speculating anymore. They just haven't given us enough to kind of figure this out. But I as I said, I would love to be optimistic. I am feeling far more pessimistic about it because they need to make money, and I don't see how this makes them money.
Yeah, true.
So there we go. So that's PlayStation VR 2. Quickly, we need to run through this last news story. Quest. So there's a couple of Quest news bits, actually, one of which we haven't got on our agenda here. Quest Pro 2 is going to be made by LG, allegedly, and will be shipping in 2025. The Quest Pro, of course, is not the Quest 3, is the even higher version of that with better display, better this, that, and the other. Not actually, I think a better headset. I don't think it was ever worth the money they were charging for it.
No.
But apparently there was
especially as it seemed to get superseded by the Quest 3 fairly quickly.
In a big way, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's allegedly coming out in 2025. This has been reported by Korea Economic Daily. And yes, they've stated that Mark Zuckerberg will meet with the CEO of LG on Wednesday to finalize details of the partnership. So this is a ways away. And the alleged price plan is around $2,000. So presumably they are realizing that the cheap Pro model is not viable because the Quest 3 exists. So let's go down the Apple road and charge an extortionate amount of money, presumably for something that is far more Apple Vision Pro related,
Yeah.
with a lot more tech in it.
They might be literally aiming at the mid ground here, I think, basically. But yeah.
I don't think that's mid ground. I think that's still very high ground, albeit slightly less high than, we're on top of K2 instead of Everest or whatever that is.
Yeah, okay, fine, yeah.
So,
also, should point out, just because I fished that news out from Upload VR, it came by way of other people, but they're the ones that I saw the report on. So I that's where I got this news from, basically. So just to give them a shout out.
Yeah, and I should probably double check my remembrance, my memory here, but I could have sworn I saw a news article recently that Quest 2s had stopped being made.
I think there's something about them stop being sold in outlets at the moment. So there's rumors that they have stopped being made, but I don't know if that's actually been confirmed.
At least one model of the Quest 2 seems to have stopped shipping. So there is a possibility that they're just phasing that headset out. But that's not huge news. The Quest 3 has already kind of completely superseded it in every way, shape, or form. So not huge news, not surprising, but yeah, that's something that's also on the horizon. Right, cool. You have a list of upcoming games to whiz us through.
Yes, and I'm going to have to motor through these because we're running long on time. The first one is some bit of homework for you, Kev. I believe there's a Steam Early Access version of this out now. Bootstrap Island VR. We were talking about Green Hell VR earlier. This is more of a treasure island than a jungle setting of Green Hell. But this looks very much like Treasure Island VR, basically stranded on an island, got blunderbusses and things to sort of help you with big enemy crabs and stuff. Looks fun, looks good, is out now on early access. Hopefully you can play that and talk about that for next episode. Another one you might want to have a look out that's on Quest now. This looks insane. I think you might like the humor from what I know of you and what I've seen of this game. But it's called Breathedge Cosmic Cluck. And it's about saving your space farm. Not saving the universe, just saving the farm, as they kind of allude to in the trailer. There's some sort of chicken wearing a space helmet. And that chicken's apparently immortal. That's most of what I know about this game from having watched the trailer.
Not going to lie to him, this sounds right up my alley.
Yes. Looks
based
cool,
on that description
looks crazy. Alone. Yep. So they're two that you can possibly investigate us for next week. I talked about Beat the Beats VR. That is apparently coming to PSVR 2 and I believe Quest as well. And I think that's out on the 27th of the 2nd, 2024. Again, a lot of these release dates are things that I have garnered from the lovely people over at Upload VR. So I believe them to be correct. I haven't confirmed these elsewhere. And I can tell you that a lot of the PSVR 2 ones are not confirmed by the store, although some of these dates I've also pulled from the store rather than Upload VR. So just to put that out there. Heartshot is a game that I mentioned last week, and I think that was the one that we liked the look of and was in early access, but that is set to release, or the first chapter of that, I believe, is set to release on the 29th of this month, so should be out shortly after this podcast. Rainbow Reactor Fusion is set to come out on the 1st of the 3rd, 2024. I believe this is already out on Quest. It's coming to PSVR 2. Not PC, I said PC incorrectly there, but it's a puzzle game about mixing kind of paints and lobbing paintballs at a board. It looks a bit weird. I like my puzzle games though. I'm not sure about a physical puzzle game in VR, but I'm interested. I might check it out at some point. Mixture we mentioned before, coming to PC VR and PSVR 2 again on the 1st of the 3rd, 2024.
I have a demo of that I need to play as well.
Yeah, I won't go into that. That's one we talked about before, but that's a bit like Moss, that kind of formula of first-person and third-person action adventure. OVRDARK, a Do Not Open Story, is a horror game coming to PSVR 2 on the 7th of the 3rd, 2024. I know a particular host of PSVR Without Parole that's quite happy about getting another horror game on PSVR 2. There a game called Swarm 2, which again might be of interest to you, Kev, because it's coming to the Quest on the 7th of the 3rd, 2024. That's a sequel to the game Swarm. Looks like it might be of interest to you. I don't know. Have a look, see what you think, Kev. The Pirate Queen is an interesting one. Apparently, the only thing it's not coming to is PSVR 2. That's coming out on the 7th of the 3rd, 2024. PC, VR, and Quest is a kind of piratey themed puzzle, like pathfinding, puzzle solving. Don't know how much combat's in it, but the voice acting is done by Lucy Liu, so that sort of spikes my interest in that a little bit. Looks like it could be interesting. So yeah, that's one to have a look out for. Jeff Minter, who you might hear some more of on upcoming episodes of BRB UK and other things. That's a little hint, but his game Akka Arrh is coming to PSVR 2 on the 8th of the 3rd, 2024. The aforementioned Little Cities Bigger is coming to PSVR 2 on the 12th of the 3rd, 2024. Little City Builder looks quite cutesy, looks quite fun. The quite insane Stilt is coming to PSVR 2 sometime in March 2024. Not entirely sure when. It's a very weird platforming game where you've got arms that look like stilts, but also kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Pogo stick type things as well. Very strange looking game. Not sure if it's necessarily
my
eyebrow
doesn't raise any further.
It doesn't raise any further than that. There's also cyubeVR, so it's cyubeVR, cycube. But this is a Minecraft-esque kind of game in VR. PSVR 2 sometime on the 3rd, 2024. I tried to cover all the games that I thought might come out before we record our next episode and kind of going over that time period. So that's what that's about. Also, we got some announcements of some other games this week. And actually coming, I actually found this out later, so it was in my announcement section, but we have actually got a release date for this now, apparently. System Critical 2 was one of those things that's just phantomly announced by just appearing out of nowhere on the PSVR 2 store, unceremoniously, even in a week where they've celebrated loads of games coming out. They just went, oh, yeah, it's coming out sometime. Oh, yeah. And apparently that's coming out on the 8th of the 3rd, 2024. Particularly interested in that one because it was very highly rated on Quest. Gets a 4.8 out of 5 on, I can't remember if that was Steam or Quest, but it was one of the two stores.
I'm going to stop you there.
Yep. Okay.
Every game on Quest, whether it's awful or not, has over a 4.5%, a 4.5 out of 5 rating. Do not believe any Quest reviews.
Do not believe the Quest reviews. Okay. They're a bit like Amazon Prime reviews, as in the TV store thing.
This is a little bit
a minimum of a 3.
Little bit behind the scenes, but Coleman, Tim, and I have a VRB chat that we dip in and out of throughout the weeks. The Stranger Things VR came out on Quest. You'll notice we didn't talk about it this week. Stranger Things VR came out. Every critic review was like, this is the worst piece of garbage that I've played in a while on VR. Last I looked, don't know what it is right now, I'll have a quick check, but about 4.6 out of 5 rating on the user reviews on the MetaQuest thing. So
you can't trust that.
That was just my general, I told you guys about this and why I do not trust reviews on the Meta store. It's just
okay. So I'm not sure if that was Meta or Steam, but I think it was really reasonably highly regarded generally anyway. System Critical and System
4.5 out of 5 currently rated
for Stranger Things.
For Stranger Things VR, yes.
Okay, that makes me slightly less on this.
don't believe it.
But apparently, System Critical was quite a hard first-person shooter. People equate it to Mega Man in VR, which sounds interesting. I think that may be just because you've got like a big blaster hand cannon on one hand, possibly. But I don't know how much platforming is. But apparently the first game was absolutely rock hard. And this one is slightly more forgiving. So that kind of appeals to me more than the first game, possibly. But yeah, I'll be interested to keep an eye on that. Another one that got unceremoniously announced by the store is a game called Forest Farm, which is apparently a bit like Stardew Valley in VR. but that's coming to PSVR 2 and has already been out on Quest and or Steam. I'm not sure, but that's previously been out in other places and is coming to PSVR 2. In the reverse case, Humanity is been announced as coming to Quest. This is the game made by Enhance, the people that made various puzzle games, the best of which is probably Tetris Effect Connected, which on PSVR 2 is fantastic. I don't think we've talked about that on the show, but that game got a real glow up from PSVR 1 to PSVR 2 and looks amazing.
It's really good on Quest as well.
Yeah, well, Humanity I did not love as much. It's a little pathfinding puzzle game where you got a dog leading humans around. For how much I love Enhanced back catalogue, I was really looking forward to this, and the demo really let me down enough that when we got it for free on PSVR 2, I'm not sure I've even played it since the demo. So, but that's coming out on the 14th of the 3rd to Quest, so that may be of interest to some people, although I can't personally recommend it myself.
Just to offer my own perspective on that, I haven't played it in VR. Obviously, it was a PSVR 2 exclusive.
Yeah.
I did play Humanity on PlayStation 5 when it hit PlayStation. I think it came out on PlayStation Plus. I can't remember.
I think so.
But,
yeah, because that's where I mean it was free to PSVR.
Yeah, I played a couple of hours of it. It was all right. I think its biggest issue was it came out as a mediocre game in a year of absolute bangers.
Yes,
like there was just last year was just banger after banger after banger. And there was no room for a 7 out of 10 game to take up anyone's.
I also just think I have very high expectations of Enhanced games because they've built up my expectations of their games over the years, and this didn't live up to it at all. This was like their worst game is still better than most other puzzle games, but I still think this is their worst game that they've made, basically.
Fair enough. Yeah, so that's it for this week. We're going to call it a day there. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. And yeah, I have been Kev.
I've virtually been Tim.
We haven't really got a sign off properly for this yet, have we? But you've kind of got one. But we just nicked it from BRB UK.
Yeah, I'm just going with the terrible thing until it becomes less funny, then more funny, and then less funny again, and then hopefully circles back around to being actually semi-amusing, just through, attrition.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick plug for our BRB Discord. Please get on over to the BRB Discord. If you are watching the video, you can see at the bottom of the screen right now, we have an invite link for it. We hang out, those of us in the South tend to hang out on there quite often. Dan and I especially are on there a lot. Tim occasionally. We've even got Tim to start joining on voice chats on there now, which is a fancy new thing. Helldivers, man, it does wonders for your social life, apparently.
We didn't speak about it this week, but Helldivers 2, very good. But how much would that game be cool in VR, and how much would that benefit PSVR 2 at the moment if it had VR support? That's what I'm saying.
That's all he's saying. I don't know how much a third-person game would translate into VR, but sure.
It's fine. Worked for Moss.
Very different. We can't have this conversation right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. See you later.
You and your ears are quite welcome
for the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarrel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
I don't understand. This game is getting a bit of buzz. A lot of people are saying good things about this from the demo, and I don't understand why. It seems mind-numbingly dull to me. It seems like the type of career you wouldn't want to